Yo, what up guys? My name is Drew Schaefer and I'm going to teach you how to edit your GoPro photos in Lightroom. And then the intro rolled. Not an ad, but I will take a sponsorship. All right guys, so you want to know how to edit your GoPro photos in Lightroom, but first you're going to need a GoPro, a laptop, and Lightroom on your laptop. So we're going to hop into the library section of this. Library is where you just take your GoPro like this, take the SD card, plug it into your computer, and download your photos to the library. You drag, drop, it imports, and then you're going to go from library, you're going to click over to develop. This is where you start to edit your photos. This is where you start to make changes, anything that you might want. It's not like Photoshop. You can do similar things, but Lightroom is mostly based on the color and how you want it to look. Photoshop, you can alter things, stuff like that. We're in our develop page now. We're gonna go over to our temperature and our tint. Temperature just makes your photo look warmer or colder. It's kind of like the white balance. It's a custom white balance. So temperature, like as you can see, I'm making it bluer. You drag it to the right, it looks more orange, more warm. So we're gonna try and find that happy medium. So we're gonna scroll over. I like my pictures a little bit more blue, so I'm gonna try about around -8. Since the water is a little bit green, the tint, I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna drag this maybe to the opposite of the temp and give it a +8. So now that we've got that done, I'm gonna scroll down on the basic tab to my exposure. Now exposure is gonna bring everything out. It's gonna make everything brighter. You can't single anything out with exposure. It's gonna brighten the whole image. So come over to exposure. As you can see, it's making it darker. You go to the lefts and the negatives. You scroll to the right, it's gonna be brighter. But I'm gonna try and find that happy medium, kind of maybe go around the 45 range. I think that looks pretty good. Now I don't typically use contrast in my photos, but on a photo like this, where you've got layers and layers, you've got people, you've got clouds, you've got a sky, you've got underwater, there's so many different things. I'm gonna kind of bump up the contrast to maybe 25. And I think that looks pretty good. Now on all my photos, about 95% of my photos, I'm gonna drop the highlights. It just brings the detail out of super bright parts of the image. So I'm gonna drag my highlights all the way down to the left. Now I think that looks pretty good as well. The shadows are pretty good, but I'm gonna drag it to the left, make it a little darker. I'm gonna try -10. Let's see how that looks. Maybe just even a little more. I'm gonna go -11. So now that we've got that done, I'm gonna come down to my whites. Now whites is gonna make the whites whiter, obviously. But I'm gonna scroll to the right on this, make my whites even whiter. I'm gonna try around like 55, see what that looks like. See, now I think that looks pretty good. You know, if you're trying to make a travel photo, you wanna make it look bright, you wanna make it look sunny, and I really think that's a good way of helping it out. Now I don't wanna use clarity or vibrance in this photo. When you use clarity, it really sucks the color out of your photo. Not to say that this photo couldn't use clarity, but see, as you can tell, it's starting to suck the color out when I scroll to the right. When I go to the left, it just looks weird. So I'm gonna go no clarity, and a neat little trick. If you get your cursor and you click on the name of the thing that you're trying to change and you double click it, it'll go back to 0. So if you made a mistake and you can't exactly get it back fast enough to 0, you can just double click on the name. But I am gonna come down to saturation. Now saturation is just gonna make your colors pop even more. Now I'm gonna go probably about 10 because I don't wanna go any higher than that, because when you start to go higher than that, as you can see right here, it'll start to make it just look way too abnormal, not real. So I like to keep my photos pretty realistic looking, so I'm gonna go around 10. Now I'm gonna come back up to basic, I'm gonna close this tab, and then I'm gonna come down to my tone curve. This is a pretty important part. I'm gonna come down here, and I like my lights to be lighter than my darks. So I'm gonna go +10 on my lights right here, and then I'm gonna go probably around -25 for my darks. And I think that looks pretty good. And as you can see, this tone curve, you wanna have it kind of look like an S, but like a downward on the bottom and upward on the top. You want the lights lighter than the darks. And that's just about every photo that you're gonna wanna do that. So now I'm gonna come down to a very important part for this photo. Because the colors are kind of like off and you wanna kind of make it look more balanced, I'm gonna come down to color. Now we're gonna click on our agua, which is right here. Now the agua is gonna just totally change the colors. This is like as close to a Photoshop as you can get in Lightroom. Now I'm gonna come down to agua and I'm gonna change my hue all the way to 100. And with that, I'm also gonna change my saturation to 100 and my luminance to 35. Now I think that's starting to look a little bit better than what we started in, but we're gonna go over to green because we really wanna change the color of this water. We want this water to look like how I saw it. The GoPro can't always pick up every single color and how it exactly looked when I was looking at it. So I'm gonna go over to my hue and I'm gonna drag it all the way to the right. And as you can see, the color of the water is starting to change to blue, how we actually saw the color. Now I'm gonna come down to saturation. I'm gonna bump it up just a bit, not too much, because then it'll start to really look abnormal and we don't want that. Now I'm gonna go to 10 for saturation. And as you can see, the photo's really starting to pop right now. And I'm gonna come down to luminance. I'm gonna drag this all the way to 100. And wow, that really looks sweet. I mean, that looks like a travel photo that you see in the Philippines, but this was in Mexico. All right, so now we're gonna click on our blue color and we're just gonna kind of alter the blues in the sky up above because it's good, but it could be better. And I'm gonna go color for blue. I'm gonna go hue -25. And I think that looks pretty good. And then for saturation, let's try 50. Let's see what that looks like. Now, see, I think that looks really cool with the blue water. It's kind of like an agua looking color, kind of Tar Heel. And then the clouds and the blue in the sky just looks amazing. All right, so now that we've got our color in order, I'm gonna come down to lens corrections. Lens corrections is a neat tool because it knows the type of camera and the type of lens that you used about 90% of the time, as long as you're updating your Lightroom. So I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna hit enable profile corrections. Some photos, it'll make it look awful. Some photos, it'll make it look great. But for GoPro photos, I always enable profile corrections. All right, so we're gonna come over to detail. Detail is something that I don't normally use on photos, and I probably won't use it on this one, but we're just gonna kind of see how it looks. We're gonna zoom in on these two guys, and we're gonna sharpen them up a bit. But honestly, I probably won't even use it. I don't think this photo needs sharpened. When you use sharpening, you lose a little bit of strong detail. So I'm gonna not even use detail today. But let's come down to camera calibration. And again, I think the colors in this look pretty good. Maybe just kind of see how you can kind of alter the colors and everything. But again, like, look how weird that looks. And if you want to come over to hue, double tap, and then we get our photo back. So I'm not even gonna use camera calibration today either. But since our photo's pretty much done, let's crop it for Instagram, because I know that's where you're gonna post it. So let's come over, let's click 1:1, which is my favorite Instagram dimensions. Now there's plenty of others. There's 4:5. You could do wide or even as shot. But personally, I'm gonna come over to 1:1 because I feel like it gives me a nice wide angle. And especially for GoPro photos that shoot really wide, I'm gonna use a 1:1. Then I'm gonna click done. And now look at it, it's perfectly square. Got it ready for Instagram. We're gonna go over here to File, Export, and then we're gonna scroll down to Quality, bump that all the way up to 100. And then we're gonna look over to the left, and the image format is JPEG. You wanna export in JPEG and upload images in RAW. And then our color space is sRGB. I'm gonna scroll down again, and as you can see, my resolution is 300 pixels per inch. Now you don't want it pixels per centimeter, you want it pixels per inch. And then when you're almost done, you're gonna come back up and you're gonna look for export to desktop or specific folder or home folder, whichever you guys prefer. But I'm gonna export it to my desktop. I'm gonna hit export. And now that the photo has exported, I'm gonna go find my photo. Here it is right here. And I am going to airdrop it to my phone. You're gonna scroll all the way up to here. You're gonna hit airdrop, and then you should see your phone pop up here very shortly. Jack Johns, who's actually hiding behind the camera, we're gonna send it to his phone so Jack can post it. You're gonna hit accept, accept on your phone, and as soon as you accept it, you are gonna have one crispy image on your phone. It didn't lose any quality with AirDrop. Here, Jack, take a look. So you didn't lose any quality, you just exported your first photo. It looks amazing, it's ready for Instagram, and now you can successfully say that Drew Schaefer has taught you how to edit a GoPro photo. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to share it, subscribe, like this video, and maybe leave a comment down below and tell me what you guys are thinking. Do you want to see more of this kind of stuff? Do you want to know how I make videos? Do you want to know how I travel all the time? Do you want to know how I make videos for DJs? Anything you guys might want to know, please comment below and I'll do my best to try and make a video about that. All right, guys, thanks y'all. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
All right, yeah, I'd say first video is a success.
Yeah.
Success. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. If anyone actually watches this video, I'll be surprised because I know nothing.
I'd say you know a little bit.
I know a little bit. Alright.
Oh, well, it's gone.
Let's go. Alright, let's go.